Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Left of Straight Show Interviews, the premier podcast that shares the stories of our amazing LGBTQ community and, of course, fantastic straight allies, all from entertainment, foodies, books, music, and advocacy. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and let's start talking. Well, hey, friends, thanks for downloading or listening in today. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and I'm so happy to bring you another great interview. John Hernandez in studio with me, the dynamic editor-in-chief of Bear World magazine. He's a significant figure in the gay bear community, and as a writer and creative, he's created such fun alter egos as Stan the Mechanic and the Boogie Bear. John has brought a unique perspective to his current role. Bear World magazine has been known for its celebration of bears, cubs, and their admirers, and it stands as a prominent voice within our LGBTQ plus community. And John's leadership and vision has been instrumental in continuing to shape the magazine's success and outreach. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about John's road to his current position and his vision for the extended bear community, which he advocates for so passionately. But first, take a look.
Welcome to the very first Bear World Magazine Awards.
All the amazing nominees are truly wonderful, but you, the voting bear public, all 12,000 of you, yes, we had 12,000 votes, have decided on all of your favorites.
That's right, Kimmy. Every winner was decided on by the readers of BearWorldMag.com and carefully counted by a team of twinks who had no real reason to mess things up.
So Stan, what'd you pick?
Well, I picked Innocent Boy by Brock Cravey.
And why'd you pick that one, Stan?
I'm super sophisticated and cultured. Yeah, what are you doing here?
Your secret is out, Stan.
I'm your host, Stan the Mechanic. Welcome back to my workshop where your car won't be the only thing getting jacked. Relax. Don't be nervous. You filled it with lube instead of antifreeze.
Definitely not as big an asshole as everyone says.
I said I was sophisticated. I'm Stan the Mechanic, the demon you can believe in.
Well, John Hernandez, how the heck are you, my friend?
Oh my goodness, what an intro. Thanks for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
Well, you are a trailblazer, or following in the trail at least, of giants, my friend. So I'm excited to have you on the show. You've been a good friend to our Bears of a Certain Age podcast. And of course, I've been following Bear World since way back in the day. I consider myself a bear from the neck up and a chub from the neck down. But other than that, I'm pretty good. I cover a lot of the bases.
It's all the same. Hey, we're brothers in arms, right? The chubs and the bears.
We'll talk about that. I mean, it's expanding every day. Our communities within communities, and it's kind of an exciting thing, right?
100%. Yeah. A bear is it's a mindset at this point. If you identify as a bear, then you're welcome. I mean, that's what the community was built on. So we're definitely welcoming everybody who wants to party with us. Come party,
There you go. I love that. Well, let's start from the beginning. I like to learn a little bit more. I mean, I know you casually, we talk on social media a lot. We've had some great conversations with bears, but let me know where you grew up and what kind of a kid were you growing up?
Sure. Well, I'm a native New Yorker. There's not many of us. Me and Barbara. Born and raised in Queens, New York. I actually live in the next town over from where I grew up as a kid. It's in my bones, it's in my blood, it's how I look at the world. I'm very much a New Yorker. I was always kind of a spooky kid, so I've always been into horror movies, and that's kind of what I bonded with my dad over, and that's kind of where Stan the Mechanic and the Boogie Bear come from. And I try to incorporate my love of horror and all things macabre, even in my work as the editor of Bear World magazine. So just a spooky kid that was kind of different than the rest. And I happened upon the bears when I was in my teens, discovering who I was. Guys saw my body hair, which is copious, and they were you're a big hairy guy, you should go down to what at the time was called the Dugout in New York City, which is where the bears used to hang out. It's now called Rock Bar. And I went and I never looked back. So, it's been
I
great.
love that. Well, you've had some great stories. Of course, I've listened to all your interviews and you've talked about that first encounter was a doozy when you first kind of came out. But talk about where did you feel you kind of first came out to yourself and when did you really find your tribe? Was it at the dugout or where did you start finding your tribe at?
Yeah, I remember, I guess I was 12 or 13 when, I started discovering, myself. I hit puberty to be PG-13 with it. Um, and I knew I was gay and I struggled with it. I was raised, I'm Italian and Puerto Rican, so it's very hot-blooded machismo cultures, and raised Catholic, which has damaged many, many people in this world. So I struggled with it. I didn't know what to do. I was very afraid to come out. So I knew I was gay from the time I was like 12 or 13, but I didn't come out until I was 17, which is still pretty early. And there was a gay identity group in the high school I went to. I went to St. Francis Prep. Yeah, in Queens, New York. A lot of people are shocked to hear that. It was actually two nuns that helped me in my coming out journey. Like, so as
That's fun.
problematic as the Catholic Church can be, and I would never defend it, there are some really great people in the organization. I mean, I kid you not, it was two nuns that shepherded me through my
That's
coming out
amazing.
process. I'll never forget them for that. And then in terms of finding my tribe, the whole thing there was, even in the gay identity group when I was in high school, everybody was thinner, and, I was always a chunky guy, and, I had facial hair when I was in high school. And I was like shaving since I was 14 years old, I would say. And, you know, nobody else really looked like me. Already I was in a Catholic school, and then, so a minority of a minority, within the other gay guys I went to school with, I looked very different. So I really didn't know where to go. Um, this will date me. This is the late 90s. So at the time we had web TV in my house, not really,
Right.
some dial up internet. And I was not trolling, but looking through the chat rooms, trying to find something. And I landed on kind of a bear chat room, and I met up with this guy. It wasn't a great first encounter. I was 18 at the time, but he's the one that pointed me in the direction of the bears. And once I found them, there was no turning back, because I went, and I was
Right.
feeling so unattractive and that I didn't fit in, and just my body type was different. And then amongst the bears, it was celebrated, and everything that I was previously made fun of, I was celebrated for. So once you get a taste of that, there's no going back. So
Exactly. Yeah, very similar to myself. I had the beard and the mustache when I was like 15, 14. I remember I was a camp counselor. I caught meningitis at a YMCA camp and got
Whoa.
flown to Children's Hospital. And I remember these little kids coming around and saying, "Who's that man in that bed?" And I was 14 or 15 at the time, I think. And
Wow.
it was kind of hilarious. But all these kids thought I was this grown man for having all this facial hair and being a bigger guy. So
Yeah.
very funny. I relate to that. Let's talk for a couple seconds about your journey going towards Bear World and to these magazines. I mean, appropriate or not, Queens College. I like the name. Very, very cool. But as Yogi would say, you're not the average bear. I mean, a bachelor in psychology, member of Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society, graduated magna cum laude. Talk about your college experience and how was that?
Yeah, I was what Tom Goss would call a nerdy bear. And that's him behind me. I have his calendar.
We
Um,
love our Tom Goss.
I
Good
we
friend to us
certainly
all. I
do.
love him.
Great friend to the magazine, just a nice guy. But yeah, so my college experience, it was a commuter college. Like, I come from a very simple kind of blue collar background. I'm the first person in my family to graduate college, but I was very book smart. So where I was kind of shy and reserved because of, self-esteem issues or body issues when I was a kid, I really applied myself to my studies. And so, Queens College is part of the City University of New York. I went for free on grants and scholarships, which is great. So I graduated with no student debt. And I did very well, but I didn't really have that great kind of college experience where, like, I found myself, or, I met my tribe or anything like that, because it was a commuter school. I think I would have maybe had that experience had I went to a dorm. or whatnot. But yeah, so and from there, I went into the corporate world, and as listeners may or may not know, or everybody has
Yeah,
different
very fashion
experiences.
adjacent and handling 5 different lines of plus size people. So we've been doing this a while. This isn't your first rodeo.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I worked for a bunch of plus size catalog brands, and what I'm grateful for is that I got to see the world, because what I did was I found factories that could make clothes for us, which is a bit more technical and specialized because of the plus sizes, which is a
Right.
shame because it shouldn't be so difficult. But that being said, because of that job, I got to walk on the Great Wall of China. I got to go explore the Forbidden City. I got to see Vietnam. A lot of really cool and great things. But at the end of the day, it's a business. It was there to make money, so it definitely had its share of stressors. And then the pandemic came, and I had to say goodbye to that, which was fine. And luckily, a full-time position opened up with Gray Jones Media, who owns Bear World Magazine. My history with them is that I started freelancing for Bear World about 8-9 years ago at this point. Um, I had gone to a bear spiritual retreat. That's where I was in my life, and I found it very transformative and inspiring. And it's where I met my husband, who is the founder of Bear World Magazine, Richard Jones. We met up at Easton Mountain Retreat Center here in New York City, and it was at an event called Bear Your Soul, which people still very much love and are inspired by and find transformative. And I left that event so inspired that I wrote this article just based on my feelings and emotions. And Richard loved it so much. And from there, we began a working relationship, which turned into a romantic relationship. And now here we are, married all these years later. So at the time, Bear World was only maybe 1 or 2 years old. So I was kind of there almost from the very beginning.
Right.
And for the last couple of years, I've been working at it full time. 2020, I was let go from corporate. I was a staff writer for Bear World and their other publications, which are Gaming Mag, Queer 40, and Vacationer.travel. And I'm just celebrating my first full year as editor of Bear World itself. So now my full focus is on Bear World Magazine. So
So
it's
exciting. You're doing such a great job. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I love Gray Jones has that blanket corporation about all these great magazines geared towards our LGBTQ plus community. So you have those different aspects. I know gamers, like probably one of the most popular. They got DigiPride going on right now, So I'm sure that's very busy for that part of the industry. But are you a gamer yourself? Did you ever get into that kind of thing?
No, that's one thing where I know a lot of gamers. I definitely have the geek culture, but I'm more horror comic booky. But I never really went into the gaming side of things. But it's wonderful, and they have a huge, very passionate audience over at Gaming Magazine. And there's definitely a lot of overlap with bears. There's a lot of bear gamers out there, so
Right.
I rely on them and their expertise for that.
I'm gonna say I have always had too chubby of thumbs to do good in gaming, so I'm not a really good gamer, so I didn't play it well. But I love kind of the aspect. I was one of my best friends and we would go through all the Fallout things, and he would run the guns, and I would be navigate and solve the puzzles and things. But there's a
Perfect.
lot of fun options in those things. So yeah, a huge industry's been built on gaming. So I
Oh
love
my
it.
goodness. Yes.
Incredible.
Enormous. Hmm.
Well, and let's talk about the fun. I mean, Ray Jones has been around for Bearwart's been around 12 years now, right? Just about 12
Yeah.
years going on. That's amazing. So, talk about what Richard's kind of Richard and Robin's original version or idea in their head was to where it's come today. Is he just in awe by everything that it's become?
Yeah, like they're very humbled and grateful for how it's kind of grown and progressed through the years. In the beginning, it was the first issue was a print magazine, if I remember correctly, and then that was when things were transferring over to digital. So very quickly, it went from a print magazine to a PDF version, and quickly evolved into what it is today, which is the website, bearworldmag.com. And, initially, Richard was based in England. It was before he came over here. And, he did his best to reach out and find people all over the world. And, that's kind of taken years to kind of develop all these relationships with the bear groups around the world. And I really, for my part, made a very concerted effort to get into countries that Bear World hasn't really worked with. So I do a lot of work now with Australia. I'm doing a lot of work with the Far East. Japan's very passionate, and the Philippines and Thailand are really excited because there's thriving bear communities in all those countries, which we never hear about or talk about. And, Robin also added his own taste and spin to it. So, Robin brought a lot of, I would say maybe the pop culture and kind of like, our love for daddies in the mainstream. And then there was Kyle Jackson, who was the deputy editor before I took over. Him too. He put his own spin on it, and he put his own perspective out there as a bear of color, which I mean, I am as well. I'm Puerto Rican, but he was a black bear and wrote from his experiences. And that's something that we're very, very passionate about, not only covering the bear community, but also the problems within it. Cause it's traditionally a very cis white male, subculture. And, we believe in giving everyone their voice and their platform. There's plenty of bears of color out there who, should be recognized for all the amazing work they do. They're part of our community, and they don't always get the attention or the love they deserve. And so we're very much about inclusion, and we talk to a lot of there's female bears now, there's trans bears, of course, and we just try to shine a light on everybody who's doing something in the community. So, we feature a lot of artists, a lot of actors, writers, anybody who's kind of putting stuff out there that identifies as a bear. Come talk to us. We'd love to shine a light on your work and share you with our readers, which is quite literally a global community of bears. The reach is phenomenal. We reach hundreds of thousands of people a month. It's a blessing.
It is such an amazing community, and I love it. And I mean, I was a comic book kid, I was a magazine kid, so I love the feel, but digital is so immediate. You can change things on a dime. You can really report. I mean, before you used to have to wait a month and the stories were old and stale, and now you're literally turning things around in a day, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a challenge sometimes, because it's usually just me. I have a lot of wonderful freelancers out there, but for the day to day, it's just me. So it's as fast as I can get it up and out. And like this weekend, there was just the news broke that the two guys from Supernatural got engaged to each other, Ty Olson and DJ Qualls,
Right.
and yeah, so getting that out there in a reasonable amount of time before people have moved on from it is always a challenge. But the good thing is, typically in the bear world, it's not like breaking news. That was just one circumstance where,
Right.
bear culture and the pop world collided. But yeah, I try to put out 2 to 3 stories a day, at the very least. So, it could be challenging, but that's part of the fun.
It definitely can be. I mean, just finding guests for this podcast. Our good friend Randy from the Randy Report, he puts out. I can't believe how much content he gets out there in a day, and it's a full-time job just getting content out, let alone trying to curate and kind of throw where you want the magazine to go. Right?
100%. Yeah. So it's kind of always having your eye out, on the next best thing, or just taking it in different directions. So one of my big initiatives as well has been to focus on health for, as it relates to bears. So I've done a lot of sexual health with Dr. George Forgan Smith down in Melbourne, Australia, and he's given me a lot of really great information. And I'm in the process of talking with another doctor who might be coming on board with Bear World to help me with additional things. And we want to look more into like lifestyle kind of things, and maybe talk about day-to-day health concerns. Dr. George is great for sexual health because he's a very kink positive doctor. So this doctor, I maybe focus more on maybe diabetes or diseases
Right.
of age, and best workout techniques and stuff, but always from a place of love, because I'm a big boy, and I know I've been looked down upon and spoken down to because of my size my entire life. So I would never do that to my bears. So just know that, guys.
Exactly. And I think it's so important. I mean, Johnny and I on Bears of a Certain Age, we talk about those kind of issues because we have health issues that we might not have had in our 30s or 40s for sure. I mean, if I get down on one knee, we're going to get married on that one knee. I'm not getting back up anytime soon. But and I love having those kind of things. One of the things we're going to focus on the road trip, Palm Springs. I read that they have a 53% LGBTQ community, which is amazing in and of itself. And a lot of that is seniors. It's starting to go down. The trend is going down. But I want to visit a couple of the senior places there. There's a new Living Out senior center there that we're going to focus on for a bit. And there's all these challenges that we have. And I love that you hit all those challenges head on by doing the travel pieces and fitting worldwide views, people that don't understand or know or have access to that culture. You've really made that your mission to get these things out there. Plus, the sexiness has been fun. You're doing the sexy, my friend.
I do a lot of there's a lot of sexy stuff. I mean, listen, it's a very sexualized community. I love it, you love it, we all love it. So absolutely, showing everybody's big, beautiful bodies, hairy, chubby, otters, cubs, admirers, everybody's welcome to the party, and we celebrate everybody. But I love what you guys are doing too with bears of certain age and addressing the topics of growing older, because that's a perspective that I'm starting to understand, but obviously I need help with. So I'm seeking out people that can help fill in those gaps for me too. It's very important.
You're still a young cub, my friend. I tell you, as a bear of a definitely certain age, I think you're a youngster.
Oh, well, you're sweet.
Well, let's sneak into the bedroom metaphorically for just a second here. I mean, as you said, you're married to Richard, who's a publisher. You weren't even his first choice as editor, I don't think, or your name didn't pop into his head immediately. Talk about when this position came about. What was your guys' discussions about the direction he saw, the direction you wanted to go, and how do you keep those lives separate out of the bedroom?
We don't. And anyone who works and lives and is married is lying if they say that they do. It's very hard to separate it because work is always on our mind. But yeah, in terms of the editorship, it was fortuitous, and obviously, of course, people are going to be like, well, you're his husband, duh. But like, it wasn't, the keys weren't just handed over. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was built on 10 years of already working for the magazine, knowing the community, of very obviously being a bear myself. And I always said, I was like, oh, people are just going to say, oh, you hired your husband. He was like, if you were a crap writer or you didn't do a good job, sure, people could say that. He was like, but the proof is in the pudding. So not to toot my own horn, but I do put a lot of work into my writing. I put a lot of thought into what we're going to cover. And, what's been great about him, and Robin's his business partner, so he's the Gray of the Gray Jones Media. They've been really good about letting me kind of take the reins and take Bear World wherever I want to, because definitely since I've taken over, there's always been sexiness and flirtiness with it, but we took a hard left, and we're really leaning into the sexuality, because there should be no shame about it. It's what the subculture was built on. It was built on body types and a sexual preference. We were the guys that didn't fit in with the mainstream gym bunnies or twinks or anything like that. So it's inherently in there, and there's so many like title holders and bear events out there, and it's just a celebration of us, our bodies, and our culture. So they were really good about, they were like, do it. My limit is I can't show full frontal. But and I don't, but it's a lot of fun. So
that becomes an entirely different magazine. Not that I'm against it, I'll tell you.
Not at all. For that, you could go to thebearmag.com, which we work a lot with them too. That is the the
There
full
you go.
frontal triple X version.
Well, and I think, I mean, you and Richard remind me a lot of me and Johnny, platonically, of course. But like Johnny is the out front man. He loves doing the events. I'm very much let's plan, let's kind of talk about things, and let's kind of do the behind the scenes thing. I think Richard's always hired other editors and things like that. And I know Robin was an editor for a while, so I think you guys very much complement each other that way too, because you are great on camera. You become a lot more comfortable with it. I know from the writing aspect, and you talk about all these titles and things going on. Let's go over to Bear World Awards. You're on a second season of awards and best of. Tell me how that came about and what 2024 brings to it.
Yeah. So for our 10th anniversary, which Bear World magazine started in 2012. So when 2022 rolled around, we wanted to do something big to celebrate a decade. We're, as far as we know, we're the only consistently run like bear lifestyle magazine.
Right.
We wanted to celebrate the community, so we figured let's do an award show. So for that first year, Richard, Robin, and myself kind of talked about it. We came up with the 10 categories and the nominees, and then we put it up for vote from the public, which was exciting, and we got a lot of engagement, and people were really thrilled to both be nominated and take part in it. And we also just named the Bear World icon and the Bear World trailblazer. And last year, our icon was Mr. Ali Lopez, who is based in Washington, D.C. He is a title holder. He is a bear of color who does loads of charity work and has done a lot to advance bears of color in the community. And then our trailblazer was Adam Rodriguez Rout, who started World Bear Weekend. And the reason we named him as our trailblazer is because that event in particular really welcomed in mama bears and is really big about inclusion. And, everybody of all genders is welcome to the party. And we love that. And it's a bear event. So we named him Trailblazer. And so when October of 2023 rolled around, I hosted the awards in a show that was streamed, and it's still available on our YouTube channel with drag queen Kimmy Moore, who's based in New York, and people were really thrilled. It was a lot of fun. It got a lot of great responses, and the winners were thrilled to be acknowledged. And so we were like, let's keep the party going. So we're going to do it every year. And the second annual Bear World Magazine Awards are going to be held in Provincetown during Bear Week on Monday at the Crown and Anchor. And this year, we put it up to the readers to nominate people. And then we went through the lists, and the top 6 of who was nominated in each category got the nominations, because, it's the community, it's not us. And then we put it up for a vote. The votes are in. I already know who won, but I cannot reveal that. All will be revealed in P-Town. But our trailblazer and our icon for this year, the icon is Les K. Wright, who is the bear historian. He has done lots and lots of work in terms of documenting the entire history of the bear community. He was there from the very beginning back in San Francisco in, the late 80s, early 90s. He wrote the Bear Book 1 and 2. He's working on Bear Book 3 now, and he's also a contributing writer to Bear World Magazine. He does our Bear Tracks column, and his knowledge and his resources are priceless, because he's like a living textbook. So we're very excited for that. And our trailblazer is Dan Jimenez, who is a former title holder and Go-Go King of New York. We really love the work that he does, because he gets out there and encourages all different sorts of bears of differing body types and ethnicities to get up on the go-go box, celebrate their bodies. He's good about coaching title holders, and he's just such a wonderful, sweet person and resource in the community. So we wanted to acknowledge him, and both of them will be live and in person with me in P-Town. My co-host this year is a local drag queen in Provincetown named Peyton St. James. She is absolutely fabulous. For horror fans out there, she was the star of the movie Death Drop Gorgeous. a horror movie made by bears who live in Providence, Rhode Island. That's where she used to be from. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Me and Richard are in the process of confirming guests, and there's a lot of exciting announcements coming your way. Once it's confirmed, I'm happy to share, but I don't want to say anything that doesn't turn into fruition. So, a lot of exciting stuff coming.
I hear you. Well, I'm excited. I think it's a great way to celebrate the community. It's always fun to have those top 10 lists of different things that are out there that we might not know about. And then to have these great people we might not have heard about before until you have these kind of things. And I just wish it wasn't the same time as the road trip, or I would be out there myself and joining. But it's going to be an amazing event. So congratulations on that again.
Thank you
Super.
so much. Thank you.
And then you talk about the importance of bringing in the mama bears, the other community. Talk about the role that Bear World plays in broadening these LGBTQ communities. I mean, I'm starting to accept my daddy self. I love being a daddy these days. And we talked earlier about all these blanket subcultures inside of our subculture. How do you, as a magazine editor, kind of keep these on the peripheral so you still have your mission, but you're still inclusive as well?
Yeah, we made inclusivity an integral part of the mission. So me like featuring or shining a light on these other subcultures or people within the community, it's totally in line with my mission statement. So it really works, and it's exciting. So that's why we were excited with World Bear Weekend. They choose World Mama Bear each year, so that already they're kind of in a way doing the work for us, because as far as I know, and there might be, and I could be wrong, in New York I'm not aware of many mama bears in the culture. So it's great to be aligned with World Bear Weekend, who can point me in the right direction of the mama bears doing work in the community, who want to be part of the community, which is fantastic. They also have a world pet category where all genders can compete. So it's really great and interesting to see that there are people that were assigned female at birth that want to be part of the community. And it's very exciting because they celebrate us, we're going to celebrate them. I also did a big story. My January cover this year was with the Chub and Chaser community. So I had the boys from the Big Fat Gay podcast on the cover. And, it's interesting because in my dating life and stuff like that, very clearly a bear with all the body hair and stuff like that. But my body is, a chub body, so I kind of found, most of my hookups or where I would score would be more at the Chub Chaser events or,
Right.
And it was interesting to have the discussion with them that they, more so than not feel like there's a division between the Chubs and Chasers and the bear community. So it was great to have that kind of conversation, and to really get an understanding there, because of my experience, I just assumed, Chubs are part of the bear community, and they are. I mean, there's a lot of overlap for sure, but it's cool to find out about the nuances and the differences. And we've also featured the pups are a big part of the fetish community, and there's a huge overlap between bears and leather, and therefore now also bears that are in the pup community. So we've done a bunch of features on that. And it's just, I'm learning as we go along too. So as I find out, these different types of things going on in the scene, I'm more than happy to get in there and get my hands dirty, so to speak, and learn about it and shine a light on it, because as many different types of scenes and kinks and subcultures there are bears, because we're everywhere.
Well, they're a great conversation to have. In fact, I think the episode, not next Monday, but the Monday after, Johnny and I talk about the Chasers and the Chubs and the bear, because Johnny's kind of gone from Chub to Chaser, or from Chub to the bear community. And I've kind of in the bear community, but I've gone to more of the Chub community. So we kind of talked about that a lot. I think there's some very subtle differences and some not so subtle, but it's also, we're trying to get inclusivity. That's part of what the Big Gay Road Trip's about, which Bear World has been so nice to be a media sponsor. We have the pendulum swing so much from when I started my show in 2015, 3 days after marriage equality from the Supreme Court, to where we are today. We need publications like Bear World and everyone to talk about this. And that's why we're kind of doing this road trip for equality here. But what do you think? what do you find is your mission? Because everything now is the thing I like about your award show and road trip is everything needs to be kind of a give and take now, right? You can't be just on print, you can't be just on digital. You have to have these live events, you have to have the interaction. What do you think about the interaction aspect, and how do you see that incorporating more and more? You've been on podcasts and everything with this. How do you see yourself evolving in the more interacting?
Yeah, I think that's the wave of the future, to be honest. You know, because even as the editor, I study the numbers and what stories work and what doesn't, and we've definitely, you know, the audience and the engagement is still good, but you know, numbers fluctuate, and the live events and the interaction are what seem to spark more interest with people. So we, you know, definitely there's the awards ceremony coming, and you know, we have some plans to maybe do a bit more like video content and stuff like that, because that's not typically what we've done, but I think that is the wave of the future. And you know, with Stan the Mechanic, I got more used to being in front of the camera, so I, you know, as the editor, I'm going to start hopefully doing some interviews on camera with, you know, different bears and people of note in the community and whatnot.
Right.
And I think that's exciting. It's more instantaneous. You know, people, you know, get more out of a 2-minute video than like a 15-minute article. People don't have time. People are on the go. You know, in the age of TikTok and YouTube, that's our culture. So we got to evolve with the times, or get lost. You know what I'm saying? So
100%. I mean, Johnny and I have switched every other week. We're doing live Instagram episodes instead of the taped episodes, because you need to have the interaction, and it's fun to interact with the fans too when you can do it live, like Instagram, or just you can have this video where they can actually see, touch, and feel everything. It's kind of fun for yourself as well, right?
for sure, you know, and you know, I did a live stream on Growler a week or two ago,
Right.
and that's always fun to see. You know, the craziness too, like of live TV, the crazy comments and topics that come up. But you know, it's like live theater, so I'm all for it. You know, you got to roll with the punches and have a good time with it. You know, and it's a good way to meet people and learn more. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out there and meet and greet people to really see what's going on out there. I can't do it from my my little writing desk in Queens, New York. So it's exciting.
Exactly. Well, we got to start wrapping up. I mean, it's so hard to ask you what's next in Bear World, because we know our media is always evolving, right? So it's very hard to make a 5-year plan for something that's going to change in a year and a half, right? But do you have certain goals or things that you have set in mind you're trying to set in motion now that you hope will be able to come to fruition?
You know, I've been constantly brainstorming on it. I mean, I definitely uh one thing I want to feature more is there's a huge part of the bear community that, well, we all utilize adult content, but there's a lot of adult content creators in the community and stuff like that. So I'd like to interface more with them. You know, last year I did a sex issue for September, and I plan on doing that again this year. And I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had around, you know, sex work, porn, our relationship with that as bears, our, you know, evolving sexuality as bears, being, you know, sexually responsible in terms of, you know, being on PrEP or doxy-pep and all that good stuff. So there's definitely going to be more, you know, of a focus on that, which is kind of a continuation of what I've been doing. But also, you know, I still want to reach out into more areas of the world. Like I haven't really touched South America, so my goal is to kind of find South American bears and kind of see what they're up to, and
Right.
maybe even South Africa. I hear there's bear groups down there as well. So it's just kind of, you know, putting out feelers to different parts of the world that we haven't touched yet, and doing more of the same, but also being open, listening, and, you know, uplifting everybody, because it truly is about that. I mean, I know that sounds somewhat cliche, but that really is important to us because, you know, as a big hairy guy myself, you know, nobody pays attention to us. You know what I'm saying? No, you know, our culture just overlooks people that look like us, and So we, like I say, when I interview my bears for like the bigger features, I'm like, I call it my vanity bear treatment. You know what I'm saying? I make, they're stars in our community. So it's just,
Exactly.
more of that, just more body positivity, more, celebrating health in our bigger bodies, but in a loving way, like no shame about it. We want everybody to be healthy, strong, big, and beautiful, so it's not about condemning someone for being, overweight or anything like that. It's about being healthy and owning your curves and loving yourself. So, so
Well said.
yeah,
I
so
love
more
that.
of the same, just, different areas and different people.
Let's follow up with my final question. Talk about how you find a balance. I mean, you and I are like say one man shows, right? We have contributing people that help. How do you find it? How can we make the industry more open so we can bring more people in, but yet make it cost effective? How are you finding ways to give yourself a little bit of a break? Are you finding ways to get that life balance in there and kind of make your identity as well as your identity as a business owner?
It's tough. I got to be honest with you. I can never really say I'm 100% off, because even when I'm just mindlessly scrolling TikTok or social media, if I come across something, I'm going to screenshot it or follow them and send a message. And so it's really, really hard to get that separation and to really be off the clock. The most I could say is like, if I'm sitting on the beach, you can't really do anything on the beach. So when I really need to unplug, I go to nature and I try not to have my phone on me. And if I do, I'm just listening to music. So it's like, that's the only time I can really disconnect and be away from it, is if I'm walking through the park or sitting on the beach. But I typically don't mind it so much, but there are days where it gets overwhelming and you just, you don't want to think about it. And when I do get like that, I will walk away from it for like the weekend and just be like, you know what, I can't. Like, we all need a break. We all need to
You need that, yeah.
recharge. You do better work when you refresh yourself. So it's a tough balance, but I'm grateful for it. I grew up wanting to be a writer. It sounds silly, but and in the end, so many of us have to compromise everything we dreamed about because, you gotta make a living and keep a roof over your head. So,
Sure.
my corporate life was, financially fruitful, but emotionally devastating because, corporations are tough. And the fact that I'm
Right.
able to do what I set out to do in the beginning is something I don't take for granted. And I'm extremely grateful. And, I'm going to continue to work hard because I don't take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly. Well, I hope you're doing it for a long time, my friend. Again, I'm so appreciative of Bear World and you and Richard of helping be a media partner in the road trip, of the things you do to feature our community so well and everything you guys do. Thanks so much for coming on the Left of Straight Show, my friend. I appreciate you.
oh, my pleasure. I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Remind everyone where they can find Bear World Magazine online and where they can follow you or Bear World on social media.
Yeah, awesome. So the website is bearworldmag.com, and you can follow us at bearworldmag on Instagram and Twitter. For me personally, you can follow me at John_BWM on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's my editor profiles. And if you want to check out my horror hosting stuff as Stan the Mechanic, he's at Stan the Mechanic, all one word, all media platforms. And that website is stanthemechanic.com. So I just do some campy Elvira-esque, who's on my other side back here, big gay bear Elvira-esque horror hosting of like cheesy, crappy horror movies. So
There you go. I'm looking forward to Halloween this year. See if you find some time to make a little content. That'll be amazing. We got to get you out to California, and we'll have to get Sam Irvin to have Cassandra come join us for lunch sometime.
oh my
So,
god, I'd melt into a puddle. So, for sure, for both of them actually. I mean, he directed the sequel, Elvira's second movie, but that would be great. I love Palm Springs.
he's become a great friend of the show. He's so busy all the time. He works harder than I think both of us with all of his projects. But yeah, we will have to find a way to have a lunch together with Cassandra sometime. That would be
Oh, I'll be
a
there
dream
with
of
bells
mine as
on.
well. I love it. Well, my friend, again, thank you. Thanks so much for being part of the road trip. Guys, be sure to look for all the road trip announcements. We have a Bear World featured prominently. They've been helping us kind of get the word out. We have an amazing bear event July 10th at Hunter's Bar in Palm Springs. We're going to have our buddy Tom Goss there. We're going to have Daniel Franzese. We have Queen Sir Jet from the porn and adult film industry coming. And a lot of great Jason Stewart, actor and comedian, will be there. So it'll be a fun bear event at Hunter's on July 10th. So look for more information on that. John, stay on the line. We're going to have a special 5 questions with John next week. So be on the lookout for that. We appreciate you all tuning in every week to the Left of Straight Show interviews. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Straight Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website for contests and other news and information. See you next week.